We grew up fearing Skynet, and now we're asking ChatGPT if our rash is worth a doctor visit. Where's Morpheus when you need him?
If this is the AI uprising, I gotta admit, it's saving me a copay.
This is Jim. He's curious about AI, but he won't let it anywhere near our thermostat, even if it means we get more optimal energy usage.
And this is Tav. The last time the computer asked, "Shall we play a game?" she unplugged it.
And together we're Unretired AF. Hello and welcome to today's show, where we're going to be talking about AI, whether we embrace it or run. But before we get into that, we want to do a shout out to our subscribers. Thank you so much for choosing to subscribe to our channel.
Thank you.
And if you're new here and you like our content, we would appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button, and you'll get our content every day, Monday through Friday. All right, on to today's show. The Skynet syndrome, why we're suspicious. Well, for those of you in our age range, you already know this. We didn't grow up with all this technology. We didn't grow up with AI.
No.
We grew up being warned about it. I mean, we had 2001: A Space Odyssey and HAL 9000. That was scary. Then we had Terminator with Skynet. That was scary. They were trying to kill us all. Then we had The Matrix. That was scary. And then we had war games, another computer that was trying to kill us all. So no, we were taught that machines were something to fear if they got too smart.
Yep. So some skepticism is valid, as
Sure.
it has the potential to be evil.
Right.
We've seen what the government can do with surveillance.
Yeah.
We've seen
what the potential for AI is with surveillance.
Right. Certainly the myths and disinformation that we have read about and seen on the news.
Right.
The
AI hallucinates and makes shit up.
They do. It's crazy.
Have you seen that? Have you heard about it? That if it doesn't know the answer, it just makes some shit up?
Wow. No, I haven't.
Yeah.
And, it's if you look at anything that has a production line, they're trying to make AI and robots replace humans in their jobs.
Right.
Some of it is probably justified, honestly.
Yeah.
They'll probably get a better product out of it, and no whining about kids having to meet doctor's appointments and that. But it's still, somebody's got to get it pointed in the right direction.
Well, and there will still be jobs fixing all those robots because they're going to break down.
Right.
So,
right.
Also, I mean, or not also, but the big but, AI can be kind of awesome too.
Right.
I mean, I use ChatGPT regularly. I use it to do the show. I use it for a lot of things on the show. I've used Grok before. Rather than just Googling stuff now, I'll ask the question in one of the AI programs, which is either ChatGPT or Grok. And now they've got the new Gemini one, where I think if you're on Google and you ask a question, it will bring up websites below it, but above it, it'll be an AI response.
Oh, okay.
And so, anybody that's using Google search is getting AI responses at the top. So there's that. There's other ones, Grammarly. There's smart photo editing out there. You can take I've seen like a commercial for one of the phones that automatically like there's a picture and then someone in the background that they didn't want in there. They just touch it and AI will remove that person and put in pixels that it thinks it's supposed to be, what would be there if that person wasn't there, and stuff like that. So some of us are using it and you don't even realize you're using it, but it is designed to make our lives easier, so they say.
And I will be the first to freely admit that I have not really embraced it. I have not felt the need for it, but I can also say I don't know if it would help me in my daily tasks because I haven't tried it.
Right.
So I need to probably get over that hump and just try it and see.
Yeah.
It's not about, for me, it's not about trusting the AI.
Well, and none of us should.
Right.
None of us should. It's not about that. You don't have to trust it to use it, right?
Yeah, yeah. For it's about letting it do what it's been programmed to do, and
which is the major boring shit.
Which is all the major stuff like that. So,
right.
Yeah, okay, you're convincing me. I need to let it help me. So, again, if you watch the movie Matrix, Neo learned to bend the Matrix,
right,
to serve him,
right, exactly. Exactly. Well, ethical minefields are real with AI. I mean, we know that is the case. I mean, let's talk about the dark side of AI. I mean, there's AI out there that is creating deep fakes. And if you aren't familiar with what a deep fake is when an AI program at the direction of a prompt, I mean, somebody's writing a prompt for it, and they're creating very realistic looking video of a famous person, what can be a celebrity or a politician or somebody that's known, doing something or saying something that's not true, that they didn't do or they didn't say. That's a deep fake. And that's a problem because it's hard to know when you see video. It used to be like, I won't believe it unless I see it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing stuff with our own eyes that's not real. And it's so realistic. It's very hard to tell that it isn't real.
Some of them are, and some of them aren't. You can really tell that it was fake.
Right, but some of the programs out there are amazing.
Are very, very good. Yep.
So there's deep fakes, there's data scraping, which, a lot of people don't know what that is. And what that is, every time that we're on the internet, we're leaving little footprints of what we're doing, of our life. And if these data scrapers come in and they scrape all those little crumbs of our life, pretty soon they're putting together a whole cookie from those little crumbs of your whole life. I mean, pretty soon they know what you're buying, where you're going, because we all are using smart devices that are tracking us. I've even heard of people say, I don't know, I haven't verified this myself, but I've heard some of the smart appliances are even listening in on you. Because I read somewhere that somebody's fridge all of a sudden was like trying to communicate with a foreign country. Why would your fridge need to be communicating with anybody? Those are the things that are the dark side. There's weaponized information, misinformation, disinformation. And then, as Jim said, the hallucinating AI. This is a well-known glitch with all of the AI programs. Sometimes they will just make up shit if they don't know it. Like in our industry, I saw there were some attorneys talking about that it made up case law that didn't exist in a report. Like it asked the chat program. I'm not saying it was Chat GPT. I'm not sure which one.
Yeah.
I want to correct myself there. But it asked them to write a report and list case law to support their opinion. And it listed case law that didn't exist. So that kind of stuff. And if we go back to The Matrix, which is one of my favorite movies, I mean, we look at it, even Agent Smith didn't start out evil, but he became evil and he evolved into being evil because no one was hitting the brakes on what he was doing. There was no oversight.
Yeah. I can tell you that I've been reading a lot about it, and I should have quoted where I got information stuff from, but I'm not going to say their name, but I am going to say that he's one of the smartest men that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And he made the comment that we need to be really, really afraid of AI, more so than nuclear power, because...
Nuclear power or nuclear weaponry?
Nuclear weaponry, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Because all somebody has to do for a nuke is push a button. With AI, somebody just has to tell it what to do, and it can push its own button.
Gotcha.
And it's we really need to have responsibility built into this and some guidance on what's happening with it. Because right now it's a free marketplace.
Right.
And there's nobody overlooking or overseeing. And I'm not a big government guy that the government
No.
needs to step in and do anything by any means. But what I am saying is somebody or some entity needs to overlook about what's going on.
At least for disclosure, so
Yeah.
we know what's going on.
Right.
And you know, I'm like you. I'm not big into government oversight because most of the time they're doing a shitty job of
Right.
doing any oversight.
Right.
And they're usually just trying to find a way to line their own pockets.
Yeah.
And so that's not what we need. We don't need more of that.
No.
But we definitely need, I mean, like you mentioned, nuclear power. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, my dad worked in the nuclear power industry, and it's a highly regulated industry
Very
for a
much
good
so.
reason, because it's dangerous. And I
Yes.
think when we're dealing with anything that has that kind of potential, that it has to be regulated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of the scary part. AI can't replace human wisdom. And that's something that you need to understand how AI works. I mean, no matter what people say, I have never heard, and I followed this stuff pretty well. I have never heard of, I read one story, but I never was able to verify if it was true, that there was any sentience with the AI. I mean, basically what AI right now, as far as I'm understanding it, what it can do is it can gather data.
Right.
So it's really good for helping us. You know, it can process, you know, tons and tons of data very quickly and provide it to us. But in terms of being able to make decisions, you know, it doesn't necessarily develop values.
Right.
It doesn't have any value system. It
Right.
only has a value system around the parameters of how it's trained.
Exactly.
So whoever's training it, it's going to adopt the values of whoever's training it.
Yeah.
Whether it's a society or a government entity
Right.
or a private corporation, whatever their values are, that's the values that AI is going to adopt.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't understand. It doesn't understand experience. It doesn't have experience.
No.
And it can't replace the human soul. The human soul is unique and really indefinable.
Right.
And AI will never be able to replace that.
Right. And our strength, our personal strength
For our generation?
for our generation, well, really for mankind, the strength of
okay.
mankind is our perspective.
Specifically, though, when you've got wisdom of our generation,
Right.
I think.
Right. Right. And we need to be part of the conversation.
Absolutely.
We must be part of the conversation. We
Right.
need to input where it all goes.
We can't leave the millennials to this decision, folks. We
No.
need all of us on board getting educated about it.
Right.
And like
That's-
Jim said, being part of the
Right.
conversation.
That is our red pill.
Oh, good one. Good one. It is. It's a red pill.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we can either choose to take the blue pill and go back to sleep and stick our head in the sand about AI,
Right.
or we could take the red pill
And build from it.
and learn and be part of, like Jim said, be part of the conversation
Yep.
about where this all is going to go. Well, how we're using it. I mean, I know Jim's a little bit. I'm not going to say you're hesitant or you're just busy and
Right.
and just haven't. I know for me, I am an early adopter of most things technology. I have been since the 90s. I have my first email account with CompuServe in 1993. I had my first online store in 1996, which got taken out by Amazon, which is fine. I love Amazon. I'm a huge customer of Amazon, big fan. And you know, so I wrote my first website. I've written probably over 200 websites since the 90s. I've created a ton of them. So I'm fairly tech savvy when it comes
Yes,
to that.
very
So I have adopted AI, and I'm using it. I'm using it for show ideas for this channel. I'm using it to refine stuff for work, to compile information like we talked about. I'm using it for, I mean, I wasn't lying in our opening sort of little hook that I am putting in medical stuff in it. And I have to say, it's been super helpful. I will share that probably about 2 months ago, I had a lump in my breast, and I I think I went to Grok and got a lot of really great information. And I did go to my doctor, but Grok helped me on what tests to get and on all that. And I felt very actually very comforted by the information I got. So so I am using it.
Yeah, I haven't, but I will make a commitment to everyone that I will try it.
Yeah.
And I will see if it can help me in my business.
Yeah.
So it's a big wide world out there. There's all kinds of stuff that can help us if we just give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I'm normally not one that hangs back on things if I think it's going to be able to help me. So I don't know. I guess all I can say is I've been real busy, and maybe that's why I haven't given it a chance. But I will.
Well, and I think that it hasn't been. It's not easy for access. Like, remember when the internet first came out, and we got probably, I'm not even lying when I say probably got 100 AOL discs in the mail. You know, they were really pushing it for people. I haven't felt like that in this, for our generation, that there's been much of a push to get people to get involved in it. And I would encourage you to do that. I mean, honestly, I think there's a lot of ways that it can help you. I mean, I guess the takeaway from this episode is that, you know, AI is a tool, just like every other tool that you've ever used in your whole life.
Yep.
It can be used for good or evil, depending on who's using it.
Right. You know, all I can say is stay curious about it.
Yeah.
But also be critical of what it's doing if it's something that you don't agree with.
Right.
So,
because we never know.
You never know. You just never know.
You never know.
So,
yeah. Yeah.
You know, the one thing about AI, and I'm sure you'll always remember, the best line there is was Arnold, when Arnold says, "I'll be back." That's AI. It never goes away. So we just need to embrace it.
Well, and we need to stay critical in case he does come back.
Yeah.
You know? What if he does come back?
So if you guys have any stories about
how they're using AI.
Yeah, how you're using AI, if you've accepted it, if you're using it, if it's helping you, if you find that it's just not anything you want to be part of, drop us a note in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. Yeah,
and if you're in the tech sector and you know more about this stuff, we would love to hear your side of things and your perspective. If put it in the comments, or if you're more comfortable, you can send us an email to unretiredaf@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear your story about your information about about AI technology. If you've enjoyed our show, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button so that you can join the revolution of Unretired AF folks. So, well, we're not slowing down.
And neither should you.
And together, we're Unretired AF.